Hello and welcome to today's episode of Platinum Talks Wealth. Emmy-nominated journalist Jennifer Rogers-Markwell changed gears in her television career when she realized the need to help women make sense of investing. She regularly hosts educational workshops to empower women and others to take charge of their financial future. Now, join your host, Platinum Wealth Management President Jennifer Rogers-Markwell, as she leads us into the world of money memories, money infidelities, and how these can mold our relationship with our personal finances as adults. Let's dive into today's episode.
Hi, and thanks for joining us on today's Platinum Talks Wealth podcast. I'm Jennifer Rogers-Markwell, and today I am joined by Jackie Shelton and Clay Hall. Thank you both so much for making time.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jennifer.
Yeah, my pleasure. Well, tell us about who you are and why you do what you do.
We have sold our house and are traveling the world living in Airbnbs. And we are currently in Florence, Italy.
That's fantastic. And before we were officially starting, you were sharing a little bit about why you're doing what you're doing. If you can go into that a little bit more as well. And what was the inspiration to do this?
Oh, gosh. Well, so I have a little bit of a wild hair, and we were in Europe. My first time in Europe happened recently, like last summer. And I looked at Jackie, and we were in Bruges in Belgium. And I said, hey, we should move here. You know, the typical thing, you go on vacation, some cool place. You're like, oh, I want to move here. And she's like, they don't just let you move here. I was like, I think they do. I think we can figure this out. So we started researching and found out, yeah, not quite as easy as I thought it was. But then we started thinking, well, why would we move there when we don't really know the rest of Europe?
And we had only spent 2 days there.
Yeah.
So we're going to make this like big grand decision based on 2 days in a beautiful city.
But it smelled like chocolate and waffles. So, I mean, there's that. So then we got back, we sort of kept talking about it and decided, well, what if we just traveled Europe as digital nomads?
Well,
what would that take? I mean, we got to that decision eventually.
Well, we realized that if we were going to do something like this, we had to sell the house. That was the only way it was going to work. And so if we were going to sell the house, it was September. We had to act fast because the housing market was going all kinds of crazy right at that moment. And so we called our friend who's a real estate agent and asked him, and he said, yeah, if you're selling, you need to do it now. And so we put the house on the market in October. It sold in like 3 weeks. And then we were committed because it was like, well, we don't have a house now. Now we got to go. We have to go and actually do this giant thing we've talked about.
Yeah. It's a burn the boats approach, right?
Yeah. No other choice, right? Like,
right.
I mean, that sounds like the coolest thing ever, but it also sounds scary a little bit, right? Because you were just, here you go. And here you are and you're going, but like, what were the emotions wrapped around that? I can imagine there were so many different moving parts.
It was, I mean, it's emotional. Clay and I, we feed off of each other. It's like, I'll say, well, what if we do this? And I'll go, what if we do this? And then what if we do this? And all of a sudden it's this thing,
right.
You know, where it's like just a casual conversation. I think that it was emotional. The hardest part, obviously, we left our adult children are still at home. So we talk to them on a regular basis. That part was hard. I think once my clients, I have an advertising agency, and my clients were on board with it, and Clay's boss was on board with it. It was like, okay, let's see what happens.
Yeah, I think that's the emotional part was really for me was not only the kids, but also, okay, now we don't have like a home base necessarily. And what does that mean? And I didn't really think about it until we were on the airplane flying to France. It's like, okay, now like we're doing this and we're not coming back for 5 months. And I don't even really know what that looks like, right? We're going to come back and do, what, right? So there's that. But now that we've found our rhythm here, and Jackie, her idea was, hey, let's call every place that we're at in Europe home. So when we're out doing something, we come home.
And we'll say, I'm ready to go home now.
Yeah. And so wherever we are is where home happens to be. And so that's helped, I think, with some of the disjointedness of doing this, because every few weeks you're in a different home.
I was just going to say, so we started in Paris, which was probably a mistake, because we were adjusting and figuring this all out in this amazing city. And we had to accept we're not on vacation, we're working. And so we're working every day and we're trying to see all the things financially. We can't afford to go, be on vacation for 5 months and see all the things in every city. And so we have to kind of go, okay, well, so today we're going to go do this tour. And then tomorrow we're going to stay home, and we're not going to eat out at restaurants every single day. Like, we have to cook at home and we have to approach this like we live here.
Do you find yourself, is this a forever thing, or is this just, have you defined this yet as what time frame this will be for you?
We haven't defined it. The thing that occurs to me is, so basically we set it up so that our Airbnb fee for each month is the same as what our mortgage was. So our Airbnb, our mortgage plus utilities, Wi-Fi, all the things. So it's the same. So that means that when we do settle down, when we do buy a house, we can't keep doing this. We'll be able to go on trips, but not like this. And so it's kind of like, okay, that's the trade-off. We've only been doing it a couple of months so far. So I'm not ready to give it up yet, but we'll see.
That's fascinating. So financially, really, it's kind of, in essence, a wash. It's what you were doing before, just here, right? In one location. And now you're doing the same thing for the same amount. In essence, you're just juggling it differently.
Right. Well, the juggling part has been interesting because with Airbnb, of course, there's prepayment, right? So we're heavy on the front end of this, and then that will then change as we get further into the trip, because we will have prepaid all of our the fees and not have a mortgage payment necessarily that month, or an Airbnb payment that month.
So for folks that are listening to this and thinking, wow, that is absolutely a bucket list check off, I want to do that. Which it's very cool, right? What advice would you give to folks of how to navigate once they get in, all the things?
Well, I think one of the biggest things that we did, and this was just as much for peace of mind as it was financial, is we took a big chunk of the house money and we put it in a CD. And we said, okay, that we can't touch that. That's over there. And then, so we can buy another house. Like when we decide it's time to settle down, we know that that's there. We also know we can't spend it, which means that this has to work here, right? It's not like we have this big old bucket of money that we can just go dip into whenever, something happens, or if I lose a client or, something like that. We have to make this work. So I think that both of those, it's like having a solid plan for moving forward, but also having a backup plan as much as you can, because this could go horribly, terribly wrong. And you need to be able to be prepared to, and I've had plenty of those in my life where I didn't have a backup plan, didn't have money in the bank. And so this obviously makes it easier.
But from the outside looking in, just, watching your blog, which you're documenting your experiences, which is fascinating, it seems to be going pretty great for the most part.
It is. It's going really well. There are the things that people don't see, though, is, we're here living our lives similarly how we were in, we have to do laundry. We have to go grocery shopping. We have to adjust to how things happen. We don't have dryers, right? So you're laying stuff around and it's like, what is going on here? How come all the wet clothes everywhere, right? And it's colder, right? It's different. So we're adapting to that, but we still have to do a lot of the same things. Oh, we don't have a car, right? So we've got to walk to the grocery store, or we've got to get on the metro to get to the place. Like today, we had to navigate the metro that was incredibly crowded. It's like we're just crushed into this little tram, and then the bus coming back, right? Well, where's the bus stop, right? We're wandering around, Florence. So there's different things. And so we talk a little bit about some of those things. So it's not this, fantastic voyage of, oh my gosh, every day is just this, terrific thing and it's roses and butterflies. There's a lot of just regular everyday things that are pretty mundane, right?
Well, and even part of that is, and we found this out pretty fast the hard way in Paris, is our clients come on board, they start working at 6 o'clock at night for us. And so we can't, and what we started doing is we would work all day, get up at 8, be on the computer by 8 o'clock, work all day, and then work all night. So when our clients are on. And so we've had to learn to adjust. It's like we work for 3 or 4 hours in the morning, we'll go out and do something fun, and then come back and then work until 10 or 11, sometimes 12 o'clock at night, depending on what's going on. Because we need to, for this to work, we have to fulfill our responsibilities to them. That's the critical thing. And so it's adjusting that time has been interesting as well. And so a lot of time, luckily, neither one of us are super night owls. Like we don't need to be out partying at night. We're sitting at our computers at, 9 o'clock at night in Paris, banging out emails.
How has this been for your relationship? I'm asking a personal question, but how has this been for your relationship? Because I imagine this would bring you in a deeper manner together, trying to navigate all of this.
It's actually been really, really solid. I was expecting, honestly, I was expecting to be tired of him all the time earlier. And I haven't yet. It's like we spend all of our time together. And so, but it's been really good. And I think that we do make sure that we talk to other people. We talk to our friends, we talk to our kids. We have friends actually in Italy right now that we get to spend time with. So it's not just us all the time. But I think it's been good.
Yeah, it's brought us to a different understanding of how the other person works, because we weren't working together in this way, like this, full time sitting across, like we're at a kitchen table right now, right? Working, and then I'll have a question, and then there's times where, so we had to learn to communicate really well about, hey, I'm writing right now, give me 30 minutes or whatever that is, or hey, I'm going to go in the other room and I've got to work on this thing, type of thing. And I feel like that's made us better partners, and navigating the transportation systems and just the languages and what are we going to eat and where do we buy those things. And so problem solving we've become really, really good, I think, at problem solving together.
No, I think we have too. And I think that is part of it because we have never worked together before. And there are times, so yeah, we're sitting across the table and he'll start talking to me and I'm just like, and my instinct is,
like, shut up.
I'm trying to formulate a thought in my head right now. And I just can look at him now and just kind of go like this. And he knows, just wait. And I know he's not taking it personally. I didn't hurt his feelings. He can do the same thing to me. There are times when we talk to each other and it's pretty clear that the other person isn't hearing us because we're thinking, we're doing something else. And so we can do, okay, just wait. Honestly, though, I think part of that too is that we've both been married before. We've both made all the mistakes with other people. And so we know, we just know when not to get all caught up in something.
Yeah, so one thing we like to talk about, which just goes right into it, is money memories, right? Mm-hmm. How money memories that you had maybe as a child or a younger person affect your relationship with money as an adult or even as a couple together. Are you open to sharing those?
I realized, so I grew up pretty poor and had this idea and did pretty well, graduated from college, got married, we were making good money, went through all the things. And I was and then got divorced when I was in my late 30s. And it was in my early 40s, and it dawned on me one day, I thought, I have made a lot of money in my life. Why don't I have any? And I had to really go inside myself deep on that and realize that I had this idea from as a child that money made you a bad person, that money was the root of all evil. And I had to realize how stupid that is, that lots of really good people have money. Lots of really bad people have money. Money magnifies who you already are. And so I had to adjust and go, if I had more money, I could be more generous. I could be more kind. I could do all these things. And once I shifted that, and it's not like it happened overnight, but once I shifted that, then I had money and was able to hold on to it. And that's how we were able to do this, because I bought a house, and I was able to buy a house by myself as a single mom, able to have retirement and rebuild. I've had some disasters happen in my life, and I've been able to rebuild from all of that. And a lot of that was just shifting that in my brain.
Yeah, and for me, it's a little bit different than what Jackie experienced, although I've had some difficult financial things happen, certainly. As a child, I would, my parents would fight often as, over money. And the one memory that just really has stayed with me is when my dad had come home, and I think we won something on the slot machine or something, and he's laying out these $1,000 bills on our table. I'm like, $4,000. Wow, that's amazing. My mom loses her mind and says, how did you get that? Where did that money come from? How did you gamble? And it turns out he'd pulled money off of a credit card to gamble. And so that money really had to go back to pay the credit card. He didn't really win anything. And so that left a mark on me where I just not a big gambler. It's easy to gamble when you live in Nevada, right? You can gamble in the grocery store. And I just was always very resistant and reluctant to do that. So I still don't to this day.
Yeah. I feel like both of these stories also kind of tie into financial infidelities. Again,
Sure.
definably different for each person. What are you open to sharing there as well?
I don't know. I think for me, it was that I was not being faithful to myself, and not realizing the value of money, and that you have to have money. The whole thing about how, money doesn't bring you happiness, which is true, but money gives you options, right? And when you have options, then you can find your happiness. And when you don't have that, it's like we were talking about before, one of the reasons we're able to get along so well, my phone was stolen. I'll go off on a tangent for a moment. My phone was stolen in Milan off the table in the Starbucks. And we were able to go from the table from Starbucks to the Apple store and buy a new phone, because we had that room on the credit card. And there have been times when I would not have been able to do that. And and just that, it's like the fact that we could replace it so easily. And then, so it's the level of stress from that thing wasn't as elevated as it would have been, because we were able to go on with our lives, pretty easily. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, I think using money as a tool, right? Being able to navigate using it as a tool for what it's there for. And I had another podcast where somebody was talking about money's not your God. But if you can use
Right.
money as a tool to do better in the world, I mean, that's what it's there for.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you both so much for making time. And before we wrap up the conversation, I always like to ask, what are some tips and tricks that you both use to utilize money in your household? And obviously yours is going to be a little different because your household is changing quite frequently.
Sure.
We set up QuickBooks so that everything goes in there. We talk, probably once a week. We'll go through everything and I'll look, because Clay works partly on commission, and so it's like our income is not the same every month. And so he'll say, okay, what can I pay off this credit card? What do we do? And I'll tell him, it's like, you can pay that one off and pay that one off. And then, he was talking about before about the Airbnb charges. So we're front loading on our mortgage now. And so we have to decide what makes the most sense. And so we just go over everything. We agree. It's not like we agree. And then he'll go, well, I think this, and I'll go, okay, and we'll do that. I think that the biggest thing is just to be super honest with each other. And super honest. Like, I had a hard time when we first got together. Like, I might do something stupid financially, and I didn't want to tell him, and because I didn't want him to think I was stupid. And then I would finally go, yeah, so this is what I did. And he's like, well, let me help you. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's the thing. Okay. Or, or vice versa. And I think it's just that trust level, being able to tell each other, hey, I wrote that check and I shouldn't have, and or whatever it is. And I don't know. I think our thing is open and honest communication, no matter what it is. Like, you have to be open and honest with each other, or this doesn't work.
Yeah. And that extends obviously beyond money, but if you can't be open and honest about the money, you're not going to be open and honest about really anything else. Right.
So true. And that's so powerful. I think communication is just one of the most important things. Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you both so much. I appreciate your time and your sharing and your vulnerability to talk through all this.
This was really fun. Thank you, Jennifer.
Yeah. Thanks, Jennifer.
And hopefully those of you listening or watching will join us again on the next Platinum Talks Wealth podcast.
If you enjoyed today's podcast, Platinum Talks Wealth, please subscribe and share. For more information about Jennifer Rogers Markwell or Platinum Wealth Management, please visit www.platinumwealth.net. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member of FINRA and SIPC. The opinions voiced in this podcast are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriate qualified professional prior to making a decision. The guest speakers and their companies are not affiliated with or endorsed by LPL Financial or Platinum Wealth Management.